Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Tonight, there's a tentative deal for thousands of academic workers in the UC system, but that doesn't mean the strike is over. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi, and the deal doesn't cover all of the workers, so no one is leaving the picket lines just yet. And as KPBS reporter Kitty Alvarado tells us, finals are looming.
What do we want? Fair contact! What do we want? We don't get it! Shut it down!
That's today. That was yesterday. And this was 2 weeks ago. The strike is now in week 3. And a tentative agreement has been reached between the UC and the UAW that covers some of the academic workers on the picket lines. Neil Sweeney, president of UAW Local 5810, says they came to an agreement late Monday night.
12,000 workers have reached agreement, representing 2 different bargaining units, academic researchers and postdoctoral scholars. Their ratification votes will start in the coming days, either late this week or early next week.
The agreement includes raises and some benefits like money for childcare. But the deal does not cover the other 36,000 student workers who are still on strike. So those who got the tentative deal are staying on strike in solidarity for now. But they think this serves as a template for the other 2 units, and the strike can now end quickly for everyone.
We think the university should reach agreement with the other 2 bargaining units as soon as possible.
The issues that got them to this impasse are pay, housing, and tuition costs. UCSD graduate student researcher Jimena Garcia Arceo says she's had to file for rent deferment twice this year, and her farm worker parents aren't in a position to help her financially.
In the chemistry program, we have to sign a contract when we join that we will not take a second job. So whatever we're paid, like that's it. It's been really hard to sort of, buy groceries, pay rent. I have to go to the food bank.
We can fight all we want!
Student researcher Tung Young Lee says everyone on the picket line would rather be doing what they're passionate about in their respective fields on campus.
I guarantee you none of us are excited to leave that work. What we are excited for is to see all of our coworkers. I don't know if you can hear what they're chanting, but they're chanting 48,000 workers strong.
But he says they are passionate about this and ready to do what it takes to change conditions, not just for themselves, but for future academic workers.
This is bigger than just us, right? This is bigger than just my research. This is about the future of equitable, diverse, and inclusive science.
A spokesperson for the UC system says they will continue to negotiate in good faith and are committed to achieving a fair and reasonable contract.
Union power! Union power!
And as the strike continues, the fall quarter is winding down. This is the last week of instruction, with finals just days away. Kitty Alvarado, KPBS News.
And while all eyes may have been glued to the on-field action, an Iranian-born women's rights activist right here in San Diego wants the attention to be on issues much bigger than soccer. KPBS reporter Claire Strong has the story.
Women like freedom! Women like freedom! Women like freedom!
The face you're looking at is that of Marcy Amini, who died in Iran after being arrested by the country's morality police just for wearing the wrong thing. The 22-year-old's death sparked protests around the world and has brought back some painful memories for Iranian-born Parisa, who now calls San Diego home.
I am really sad. There is no day that goes by and I'm not crying.
Parisa, who asked us not to use her last name out of fear of repercussions, knows just what it's like to be a woman in Iran. She says she felt half human growing up there just because she was a girl. Parisa fled Iran for her own safety and now wears a T-shirt in memory of Mahsa Amini.
They jailed her and she died under their watch. And after that, there is an uprising during these past 70 days that Iran's young men and women are out and they are shouting for their basic rights.
Iran's inclusion in the World Cup has angered Parisa, who believes that FIFA should have banned the country from taking part in the competition. And soccer is something very close to Parisa's heart. She loved the sport as a child, but had to disguise herself as a boy just so that she could play alongside her brothers. Parisa never even got the chance to see her brother play professionally, as women were banned from soccer stadiums. I asked her how it felt not to be able to cheer him on.
It was awful. I felt like I'm in a jail in my body, and my brother was my hero. And I loved soccer, and we played together. And when he went up and he became a soccer player, I thought I have this equal chance. I could have been, but because being in Iran at the time, girls, they didn't have a team and I couldn't play.
Well, last week, the U.S. Soccer Federation showed its support for protesters in Iran by posting the Iranian flag on social media without the Islamic Republic emblem. But Parisa wants far more to be done by the U.S. government.
Please do not make deal with them in any sort of deal. And please do not just treat them as a normal government, because this government, they have no mercy for their own people. When they kill their own people, just imagine if they have any power, what they are going to do, especially when it comes to nuclear power.
While Iran's World Cup journey may be over following their 1-0 defeat to the USA earlier today, but the fight for Iranian women to be treated as human by their own government continues. Parisa says she'll keep making her voice heard until being born a girl in Iran doesn't mean a death sentence for women there. Claire Strong, KPBS News.
The words "women, life, freedom" are part of a new tribute to Iranian women in City Heights. It's the work of 2 local artists inspired by Mahsa Amini, whose death at the hands of Iran's morality police led to recent protests. It also features the image of a 16-year-old Nika Shakarami, who was captured, tortured, and killed by security forces after joining a protest.
The people of Iran love Americans and love the West and are looking for a life that's very simple, so that women can ride bicycles freely, women can go to stadiums freely, women can travel freely without their written permission from their husbands or their fathers.
And you can find the mural on El Cajon Boulevard near 46th Street. A vigil is planned for 7 p.m. tonight to honor those killed in recent protests. Today, the Senate passed a bipartisan bill protecting same-sex and interracial marriage. It now goes to the House of Representatives for approval before President Biden can sign it into law. The legislation requires states to acknowledge a same-sex marriage from another state. It is a protective measure in case the Supreme Court overturns the 2015 decision that legalized same-sex marriage. San Diego County election results are supposed to be certified on December 8th, but the county registrar of voters is still counting ballots. KPBS reporter Alexander Wynn takes a look at why the counting process is taking so long.
As of this recording, there were nearly 9,000 ballots left to tally in San Diego County. Most are ballots that needed to be cured or have the signature verified. Those ballots need to go through a lengthy process to confirm that they are valid, says Kim Alexander with California Voter Foundation, a nonprofit working to improve the voting process.
To make sure that nobody's voting more than once, only valid ballots are being counted. And if there's a problem with the ballot, like the envelope wasn't signed by the voter, the county is required to contact voters and give them a chance to submit a valid signature so their ballot can be counted.
The county registrar of voters says those voters have until December 6th to cure their ballots. While the delay may be frustrating for some voters, Alexander says it's part of the process to keep the election secure.
What's happening is our election officials are doing their job. They're making sure that only valid ballots that are cast are counted. And there are a lot of protections in place to make sure that voters aren't unnecessarily disenfranchised to vote by mail.
Of the more than 1 million votes cast countywide, 90% were mailed in, with some arriving on or after Election Day. Ballots arriving 7 days after the election are counted. But Alexander says there are some ways that election officials can make the process faster.
In fact, some counties have already done this, is let voters take their voted vote-by-mail ballots to a voting site and get them scanned and counted on the spot rather than putting them in an envelope, having to sign the envelope and have their signature verified later and counted later.
That would let election officials count those ballots immediately, cutting down the processing time. Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
Early voting is now underway in Georgia. Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock is facing Republican challenger Herschel Walker in a December 6th runoff. Yesterday, more than 300,000 people cast their ballots, breaking the state's single-day voting record. Monday was the first day early voting was required in every county, and over the weekend, more than 157,000 people voted.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, the Supreme Court hears a case challenging the Biden administration's immigration policy. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
The city of San Diego has new marching orders in its approach to the fentanyl drug crisis. Mayor Todd Gloria's executive order calls for greater law enforcement response. It also asks for the city to get a more detailed plan for millions of opioid settlement money it expects to receive in the years ahead. The city of San Diego reports more than 800 local overdose deaths involved fentanyl last year. San Diego health officials are bracing for a surge in COVID-19 hospitalizations this holiday season. Staying home if sick, at-home tests, and getting vaccinated can all help relieve the strain on hospitals. This September, updated COVID vaccines were released called bivalent boosters. Dr. Seema Shah with San Diego County says just 16% of eligible residents have received one.
We have a lot of room to go. We know that the bivalent works. We're seeing that it actually decreases hospitalizations and deaths. So we certainly want to continue to encourage people to get their booster. And of course, the flu vaccine. With this much flu around, that's one of the things that we can do, again, to decrease, disease severity.
Just over 10,000 flu cases have been reported this season. It takes 2 weeks for both the flu and COVID vaccines to take full effect. As the holiday season gets underway, hundreds of families in the South County are adding low-cost computers to their shopping lists. KPBS education reporter MG Perez explains how the devices are being sold as part of a community partnership.
This laptop computer is getting an extreme makeover. So is this one. There is a warehouse full of high-tech devices that were previously owned, and now they're being refurbished by workers and volunteers with the Computers to Kids nonprofit organization.
Very nice. That's an HP.
Adam Hegger is not a kid. He is in need of a computer so he can apply for jobs and get back on his feet after COVID and a failed relationship devastated his life.
Whether it's an RV park or a house or Starbucks or wherever, you get myself off the street and ended back into a house. I was a flooring installer for many years. I've always had paid my own way and been self-sufficient.
Computers to Kids definitely helps children close the digital divide with low cost or no cost laptops, desktops, and tablets for families who need them. And the organization will help anyone who needs high-tech connections. It's partnered with the San Diego County Office of Education to reach as many students as possible. Many of these devices will be sold this Saturday for as little as $100 during an event at Chula Vista High School. Pre-registration is already at capacity, with dozens of extra computers also on sale.
We don't want to say no to anyone, so we want to ensure that anybody who walks up to the program can also receive one.
This operation is not only offering computers to kids, they're hiring too. Right now, there are paid job positions available for IT technicians and warehouse workers to keep the momentum going year-round. It's like Santa's workshop, except the toys are tablets and webcams and computer headsets donated by big corporations and individuals who want to contribute to the education of San Diego students and anyone else committed to learning.
Teachers now, since COVID, are more than ever connecting to students via technology. And if a student doesn't have that in their home, they're at a huge disadvantage.
Adam Hegger is determined to turn his disadvantage into a comeback story of success. MG Perez, KPBS News.
Problems along the train tracks in Orange County will stretch into next year. The transit agency says it will take 90 days to fix a landslide in San Clemente. That would mean service resumes in February if all goes according to plan. Trains haven't carried passengers in the area since September. Freight service is operating, but at reduced speeds during overnight hours. The lake level at San Diego County's Lake Hodges is coming down again. City officials say recent rainfall in the lake's watershed raised water levels higher than state officials want them to be.
There is a state mandate for Hodges right now that it has to be at 275 feet, and it cannot exceed that. And right now it has exceeded it because of recent rains.
The maximum capacity of the dam is a water level of 313 feet. The city has identified areas in the dam wall that need to be sealed. The water level is being kept below 275 feet until the repairs are assessed.
Well, we do have lots to talk about here when it comes to changes brewing this weekend and later this week even. But we do have relatively cool weather continuing, so it's pretty comfortable out there. But it will turn wetter later this week, and we're going to welcome the rain into the neighborhood. In fact, 2 rounds of it here with more welcome rainfall coming later this weekend as well. In the meantime, partly cloudy and cool. We'll get down to around 50 degrees tonight and head to areas a little farther east, and you're going to notice it'll be much cooler. Ramona 37, Borrego Springs 41, almost down to freezing at Mount Laguna, but we'll stay dry in the near term. Futurecast shows that there is some moisture off to the northwest. They've had accumulating snow in Seattle. Pretty rare for late November that Seattle gets in on accumulating snow. And you can see through Wednesday morning, it's getting closer. Here comes some moisture sneaking into Northern California. We're going to have to wait longer. We're going to show you a different animation in a moment here with our rainfall prospects. But still, for our Wednesday, we're looking quiet and bright in the afternoon. Temps in the low 60s near the coast, mid 60s into El Cajon, but only 50 for your high in Mount Laguna. Borrego Springs around 70 degrees, but later in the week, the moisture begins to plunge farther south, and this is going to be beneficial. We're looking at 2 to 4 feet of snow for parts of the Sierra. Big time snow there in the Sierra. We love to see that. It's not good for travelers, admittedly, but eventually we're going to see some of that moisture sneak into our area. This is taking us into early next week, so it's really late this week and this weekend into early next week that we begin to see a little bit of moisture reach our area. The heaviest certainly stays north, but at least there will be some rain out there. As we look at the coastal forecast, you can see here come some of those showers. A couple of morning showers Friday, and then a few showers on Sunday with that second round. Similar story into the inland areas. Brief shower in the morning on Friday, and a better chance for some scattered showers Sunday into Monday. Mountainous areas, into the mountains, here we go. Brief shower Friday morning, and then more showers Sunday and Monday, and then into the deserts. Here, we're a little more resistant to precipitation with this current setup, but eventually there might be a few sprinkles early next week. I'm meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
It's a familiar scene for a military town. Today, more than 1,200 sailors aboard the USS Tripoli were welcomed home. Video journalist Mike Damron shows us the happy reunions.
Speaking for the 1,200 sailors and Marines aboard this ship, we're excited to return home from deployment here in San Diego after being gone for 7 months. Very excited to get home, see their friends and family and loved ones. Like I said, it's been 7 long months. It's been a great deployment, like I mentioned. But of course, nothing beats coming home and seeing your friends and family.
The pictures don't do justice. I can't even explain. I'm lost for words right now.
What a great story. That's a great story. Big shoes and a big red nose are characteristics of a classic clown, but the art of clowning isn't what it used to be. Students of all ages are now pursuing a form of comedy that left the circus behind. KPBS education reporter MG Perez takes us to clown school.
I'm Ella the Clown.
On a Saturday afternoon in the yard of the Mission Bay Boat and Ski Club.
Do you feel happy? Sad?
Class is in session, and Ella the Clown is the teacher, proudly wearing her colorful makeup and big red nose.
This is the world's smallest mask. That's very true. But it's not a mask because it's hiding anything. It's a mask because it's helping you reveal inner truths and inner feelings. This is the most excited you've ever been!
Behind the big red nose, Ella is really Danielle Levski, a certified clown, writer, producer, and educator. She teaches children how to use their imaginations through games, triggering exaggerated emotions, truthful emotions that are also entertaining, taking the audience on quite a ride.
It is quite like a volcano. It starts building up, it starts rumbling, and then it erupts. And now it's very exciting. It's the big grand moment for everyone. And then it slowly goes back down. And there's some joy to be found there, too.
Ella is just one of Danielle's clown characters.
So this is Baba Yana, the Soviet Jewish grandma clown.
There is the traditional white makeup for this clown, along with what Danielle calls grotesque bright blue eyeshadow and plenty of penciled-in wrinkles.
She's also based on the women in my family. All of their neuroses and anxieties and love and care, all wrapped up into one chaotic clown.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Sassy Salon.
Once a month, the Jewish grandmother clown is MC of the Thursday night open mic cabaret at Diversionary Theater, where the humor is rated much more PG-13. And she's brutally honest, the first rule of clowning.
This is a red herring. It's fun. Thank you.
Happy and surprised face.
Right now, Levski also leads a weekly class at the theater teaching adults how to clown.
Feel free to play with the volume, the intonation, the movement.
Brittany Wood is one of her students.
I'm an epidemiologist, so I work for the county and I do more data research for opioid overdose and substance use and mental health disorders. So this is quite different from my day job.
Yeehaw!
Not exactly a resume you would expect from someone learning to be genuinely funny, along with embracing the joy in failure and rediscovering their inner child. All of that part of the curriculum in this clown class.
This is the first time I've gone on stage and really been silly in front of other people and kind of let go more. So it's kind of cool that I can do that, or I can show other people that side of me.
If you have a boo-boo or a
lousy week.
Dr. Fancy is a professional clown with a mission in medicine. He's a character created by Skylar Sullivan.
Hello. I'm Dr. Fancy. What's your name?
Who is the education director at the Diversionary Theater. He also works as a therapeutic clown in children's hospitals, often working with terminally ill kids, wearing a tiara to complement his red nose.
We all have those things that trouble us, that we carry with us, and there's something about clowning that really is able to access that in a way that few other things that I've seen in the arts can do.
Yeah.
So the heyday of clowns in a three-ring circus has evolved to a higher purpose, and it's happening in the controlled chaos of a classroom, where Brittany Wood, the county epidemiologist, is getting closer to owning her own big red nose.
I feel like I've been making more jokes, or I've been like a little bit more like open about, I don't know, using my facial expressions more, or just trying to be more engaged or more open with myself.
I'm not being dramatic. This is real.
Danielle Levsky will continue to use Baba Yana and Ella as inspiration for the next generation of class clowns.
Come down here, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then big finish.
MG Perez, KPBS News.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.